Good afternoon, everyone. Today's study is the fall of the Roman Catholic hierarchy. Babylon is falling, and all Babylon's daughters. And how do we know this? Well, first of all, let's go to Matthew 6, 9 through 10. This is what we know that's written in the scripture. It says, "After this manner, therefore pray." So this is when Yasha is telling his disciples how to pray. "Therefore pray, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven." So his kingdom comes, his kingdom is coming, his will is to be done on the earth. So if we go to Daniel 2, uh, 44, it says, "And in the days of these kings shall the Yah of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms." So all these kingdoms that you see on the earth that are underneath the Vatican umbrella, which maybe you don't understand that, but we will get into that. All the kingdoms will be broken into pieces. It says, "In the days of these kings shall the Yah of heaven set up a kingdom." So this kingdom is coming, and it gets rid of all the other kingdoms. And it says, "It shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people." So all these other people who won't believe in Yah, it won't be given to them. It says, "But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." So if you know, before Daniel 2, it's talking about all these kingdoms. The kingdoms of Persia, Grecia, then it has the Roman kingdom, and actually this last kingdom that's on board right now is a mixture of all these kingdoms. It's got Roman, pagan, Mithras, beliefs. These false gods are all in this kingdom. And then they consumed all the other people. The Protestant churches have been overtaken because all the Protestant churches have been given a false doctrine. Right here, we see that this is the Catholic doctrine of the Trinity. All the daughters of Babylon, to be considered a regular evangelical church, they believe in the Trinity. The Trinity is a covert, hidden, occultic, three-God system. So by believing that, you're one of its daughters. And so this kingdom, in this 10-toe period of the 10 kings, is getting ready to fall completely. But we're seeing the beginnings of its fall. And we can look right into the headlines to see that. So let me read to you what happens to this. So you see right there, it's talking about in the days of these kings. What kings? Let's go to Revelation 17:12. Revelation 17:12. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings." So you see the 10 toes in that Daniel prophecy are these 10 kings. So they are the 10 kings. 10 horns represents power. So when you're looking at the different, the head of Nebuchadnezzar of gold, brass, and you get down to the bottom where the legs are of iron, which is the ecclesiastical and Roman, two sections of the Roman Empire that comes down to the feet where it's mixed with clay and with iron. So that's telling you that the Roman kingdom is still mingled in, even though you don't realize that that's who's in charge. And it says 17:12, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast." So these kings have made alliances with the Catholic Church. How do we know that? If you just look, we're all under the same Gregorian calendar. And all these people come to Pope Francis to meet with him, including the merchants of the earth, which are, you can look right here, you see a picture of Tim Cook, who is the head of Apple. He met with Pope Francis on January 22nd. And before that, this is kind of a small picture, but you have Mark Zuckerberg meeting with the Pope. I don't know if you can see that. And all the people go after and meet with the Pope. So there's more to that, but we're just going to continue reading. So you've got these kings that give their power to the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. One mind, one world order. You heard the elder Bush in the 1980s say, we have a one world order. That's where they all give their mind to the beast. That's why all these leaders of countries are all on the same page, and they're all against President Trump. And when they go to these meetings, the G7 meetings and the NATO meetings and all this, they're all snickering and against Trump. They're all together against him. They all have one mind, okay? And it says, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. They've agreed to all these things under this United Nations, which is led by the Jesuits, which the Jesuits are the military force of the Catholic Church. And I'll read you some quotes in just a few minutes. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So right there, it shows that he's going to take over this kingdom. And what we're seeing today, right now, you can look and see that there's tremblings going on. Okay? Let's look at Matthew. Matthew, I want to say 23. We'll start there. Everybody knows Matthew 24 talks about the latter days. But Matthew 23:39 says, for I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till you shall say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Yah. So, he is going to come in the name of the Yah, the YHWH, which is the Yasha, Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And his son is going to be coming. And what are all the signs? You can read all the signs of his coming, that he's going to, there's going to be wars, rumors of wars. Let's see if we can find that. It says, it's a pretty long chapter. Let's see if I can get to that part. For some reason I'm not finding it, but what I wanted to get to in this chapter, you know where it says there's wars, rumors of wars, and all these things are going to happen before he come. And it says in verse 24, 37, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day of Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them away, and so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So at his coming, he's going to take away the evil people. And what was happening in the days of Noah? They had religions of sexual idols, and there was giving and marrying of the same sexes. That's what we see today. All this immorality, that's what was going on in the days of Noah. Okay, so let's go to Matthew 25:31. It's talking about when all these things happen and the Son of Man comes. It says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. So the Son of Man is going to come down here to earth, and he's going to sit on a throne of glory. So people have it in their mind that, oh, the Son of Man's coming and we're going to go up to heaven and then we're going to see him on his throne. That's not what this says here. It says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, he's coming in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the thrones of glory. What happens at that point? Keep reading. And before him shall be gathered all nations. So all nations are going to be gathered right in front of him, here on the earth, in front of his throne. Okay? And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided the sheep from the goat. So he's going to do a separation between the people who will follow him, will keep his holy laws, that believe that the law was not abolished, which it says in Acts 28 that Paul and them were teaching out of the law of Moses. So there's no way that when Yasha died, that the law was abolished. Okay, so you have to read Acts 28. I'll go there really quick just to prove it, in case you haven't ever heard this, because your teachers and your churches do not let you know about this because they're Jesuit trained. It says in Matthew 28:23, and when they had appointed him a day, there came many to him in his lodging, to whom he expounded and testified the kingdom of Yah. So he himself was talking about this kingdom that's about to come forth today. And it says, persuading them concerning Yasha, both out of the law of Moses. So if the law of Moses was abolished, after his death is when this happened in Acts 28. So therefore he was teaching out of the law of Moses, and he was teaching the kingdom that was to come. And out of the prophets from morning till evening. So he was teaching and preaching on this kingdom that I'm talking about today. This kingdom that's about to happen, because this evil satanic kingdom is coming to its end. Now how do we know it's coming to its end? Let's go to Luke 12:2. It says, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. So right there, this is being uncovered as we speak. His kingdom's coming. And in Luke 17, let's go to Luke 17. So you need to realize that no one's preaching about this kingdom that's to come, but it's coming. And you're seeing the beginnings of this evil kingdom coming to its end, which we're going to get into as soon as we go through some of these proof texts. It says, 17:20, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, the Pharisees are saying, when is this kingdom coming? Because they wanted to be ready. They wanted to be, they didn't like it. They didn't want to let go of their power. So they were scared. They wanted to know, what kingdom are you talking about? And he answered them and said, the kingdom of Yah cometh not with observation. Now, the Jesuits use this in their favor, and they use the next verse and say, oh, the kingdom's within you. But the kingdom is coming right now. The kingdom is at hand. And this study is about the fact of uncovering the true nature of that evil kingdom. And so that people can decide, do I want to be in this kingdom of Yasha, or do I want to be in the kingdom of man that is underneath the dominion of the Catholic Church, that is being ruled by the United Nations? The United Nations wants to take away people's ability to defend themselves against tyrannical governments, which is, they have in front of in the New York, at their headquarters, they have a gun that is tied into a knot, because they don't want you to be able to defend yourself. If you can defend yourself, you won't be able to be overtaken. But they don't understand, they're losing their power. Now, how is that? Because the evil is being uncovered. Now we're going to go over two things that happened in the last week and a half. The first thing was on a Friday, a judgment came down on Monsanto, which they are connected to the Vatican. They are one of their merchants, okay? Just the way Apple is, so is Monsanto. Monsanto It's been uncovered and revealed through documents of there was a lawsuit, and the man won the lawsuit. $289 million was the award, or the award that he is supposed to get. Of course, they say they're going to appeal it. But in this document, everything was uncovered on how Monsanto deliberately had false, what they have ghostwriters to write up fake scientific reports to say that genetically modified foods are safe. And the real reports that were coming out about Monsanto and its use in GMO crop spraying, in GMO seeds, in GMO foods, anything that had to do with Monsanto's glyphosate, they also have they have different names so that you will not know the names, because as soon as something gets really well known, they have to change the name. So in these reports, it was revealed how they have been covering up, just as very much the same way that cigarette smoking was covered up back in the 60s, and it was revealed all their things that they were doing, the lies that they were telling. So this man has Hodgkin's lymphoma or something like that, and they're saying that he doesn't have long to live. So they were able to push up the hearings, and it came out in all these documents, over 1,000 documents, the evidence of how dangerous genetically modified foods are, Monsanto seeds, and the spraying that they're doing. So this was revealed, and you hardly heard about it in the news. Why? Because they don't want this to be uncovered. They don't want you to know the evil. Monsanto is now merged with Bayer Company. You know, baby aspirin, Bayer, and Monsanto, they're together. And so they have joined forces to cover up all the things that they've been doing. Even Bayer has evil, and it's going to be uncovered. And people are going to have to know if they want to stay in that evil kingdom or come out of that kingdom and come into Yasha's kingdom. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the other news item that is huge, and it also should be plastered day after day after day in the news, but it's barely being talked about. You have to look for it if you want to know about it. And what that is, it's a 1,000-page, I only have like 50 something pages here because I wasn't going to be able to print. The stack is about this big, stack of the report from the grand jury in Pennsylvania that has uncovered so far, because this is just so far, there's 1,000 evidences of child abuse by the Catholic Church and the priests and the cover-up of it. What's important is they were able to get all the documents. So this is also miraculous that the Pennsylvania grand jury was able to get documents. Now here's some of the pictures of the actual documents that they uncovered, and these documents are showing how they switched priests around, and how they were talking about certain priests. They have documentation of priests being moved around and the knowledge of them abusing the children. It was mostly boys that were abused, but there were some girls. And this just goes to another point that I'm going to get to about why was it mostly boys, okay? And all these names of these priests are in here, okay? And this is a big deal because they like to keep their secrets from you. There was reporting of these things. These people were reporting that they were being abused, and it would just go to the Catholic Church, and if any time the police were involved, they'd come and talk to the church and say, we'll let you handle it. So there's some kind of there is a confederacy between the authorities and the priests for it to have gone on so long. Many of these people were abused over years, and the laws that they have, this is one of the things about the laws on the books. The law enforced right now gives child sex abuse victims 12 years to sue once they turn 18. So 12 years is 30. So they only have till 30 to sue. But why that law is in the, it gives advantage to the Catholic Church. That's why it wasn't coming out. Because if you know anything about science, your frontal lobe isn't developed until 30. And that's when you start remembering. And that's why a lot of these child abuse victims say that they start remembering things are after 30. And that's when most of the time, in this book, Transformation of America, Kathy O'Brien says, most people don't make it past 30 because they kill you, because they don't want that stuff to come out. And so it's really important right here in this, in these papers, in this stack of the report that they give out, to see how the law is there to cover up, because you can only have 12 years after you turn 18, when that means you're 30, and you're not going to start remembering until after that. So they're trying to propose an unlimited time. That why should there be a statute of limitations? There shouldn't have to be, so that when you start remembering when you're 30, you still have time. But what happens here right now, the way the laws are written, when you turn 30, that's when you start remembering, and it's too late. So that was a couple of things that came out in this when I was reading this. Now, let me read to you also something about why also has this been able to be kept hidden for so long. Like we say, Luke 22, for there's nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. This is being known today. And also, there's an article on Leo Zagami's website where he is, let me go there, he is talking about the fact that this is getting so big that other counties and places are doing their own, because this was only in Pennsylvania, and they had done some dioceses before, and this is only, I want to see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 dioceses of the Catholic Church: Allentown, Erie, Greensburg, Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, Scranton, Allentown, Erie. So there's only some that are in this report. And Leo Zagami, who writes about a lot of things that are happening in the Catholic Church, says that currently there are other investigations. The Attorney General Josh Hawley in Missouri is also bringing to light the sex crimes of the Catholic Church. There's a settlement to 450 victims of Catholic clergy sexual abuse. And the report, the Pennsylvania report, is like a Pandora's box that's bringing to light all these places, and more places in the United States are doing investigations going throughout the United States. People are starting to report all the horrific child abuse that's been happening, and most of these are to males. So a lot of times it was the males, because they have their what are they called, altar boys, and at that age there's a window from 9 to 11 that they really hone in on, these Catholics. There is even a quote from the Jesuits that says, give me a boy when he's 9 and I'll tell you what he's going to be as a man. So right there, it's in your psyche that they can really mess you up between 9 and 11 years old when it comes to being sexually used by these pedophile priests. Now you say, well, maybe it's just a certain portion of these pedophile priests and it's just coming out, etc., etc. You have to understand something. There's a woman who was sexually abused from pretty much birth all the way, I don't know, into her teens in Australia. And she starts telling the whole history of what she went through in the CIA mind control practices that were happening in Australia. And her website is called pedophilesdownunder.com. And this was written in August 2. She starts talking about child trafficking is run as a single integrated world operation. She talks about the CIA. She talks about everything she went through, that it was politicians, military brass, top businessmen, and key government officials. She talks about being raped by these people, and there was people in high up, the Australian, a person who later became the Prime Minister of Australia. Also, she talks about going to the Bohemian Grove, and she says that she was raped by Reverend Billy Graham, and his good buddy was Richard Nixon, and that Richard Nixon had recommended her to him. She also talks about Richard Nixon coming to Australia in a plane, and she went on the airplane and was raped by Richard Nixon. These are her allegations, and you can look them up. And she has a whole history to show you from the beginning what happened to her. She has a couple of videos on YouTube. But what I found to what goes together with this pedophilia report, that's basically what this is. This is pedophilia high up in the Catholic Church being covered up. Oh, I was going to read to you this part of it. I forgot. This is what they say. This is the grand jury. They say, this section of the report addresses each diocese individually, okay? And it says, through 2 or more case studies that provide examples of the abuse that occurred and the manner in which diocesan leaders, I don't know how to say the word, diocesan leaders managed it. While each church district had its own idiosyncrasies, the pattern was pretty much the same. The main thing was not to help children, but to avoid scandal. So they say this isn't their word, but theirs. It appears over and over and over in documents were recovered. So this is a scandal that they didn't ever want to come out. It says, abuse complaints were kept locked up in a secret archive. Now this is where I want you to get a really good understanding of. It says, secret archive. It says that is not our word, but theirs. The church's code of canon law specifically requires the diocese to maintain such an archive. So they are supposed to, by canon law, keep this secret archive. And only the bishops can have the key. So this shows you that they purposefully have secret archives that no one is ever to know about. So you've got to see why has this not come out, even though it's been going on for thousands of years? Because they have canon law that tells them how to control the scandals, how that it never will come out, how to use MK Ultra. The Nazis used MK Ultra, and they brought MK Ultra to the United States. They brought MK Ultra to the Australian. There's so much that this woman, who has gone to the authorities for years, she has gone and reported all this. They have all the records. Okay, so she talks about the Jesuits, okay, and this is from Pedophiles Down Under, and I can put a link, or you can ask me for the link in case I forget, but this is under August 2, 2018. So if you go down some, she talks about all the people that were in government who were in the colleges teaching, teachers, doctors, professionals who were all part of this Luciferian pedophile ring, okay? So it's Luciferian, but it's also the Jesuits are in high. It says these are her quote. She's talking about Leonas Petrauskas was a close associate of my Lithuanian grandmother, Helen Holacek. This is the people who started her. Her grandparents were evil people. They were Nazis, and they came to Australia and they abused her and many other people. Anyway, Petrauskas was granted asylum through the International Refugee Organization. See, all these people were granted asylum in Australia. They were very evil. It says, in fact, the IRO employed him as a medic for a period in Europe. Petrauskas was educated in a Jesuit school. The Jesuits, she says, and which we know this to be true, but she has firsthand experience. She says, the Jesuits are Luciferians who practice ritual murder and child rape. These are the Jesuits. The Pope is a Jesuit. Many people in our governments are Jesuits. The Vatican has billions of dollars. There's a book here about that. The priests, the Woman and the Confessional, written by Chiniki. He was an actual priest that left the Catholic Church. And it says here, ex-Jesuit priest Alberto gives a introduction to this book. And there's many books that you can get on the Jesuits. What I'm telling you today is what's fresh, currently. This isn't 50 years ago or 100 years ago. This is current people. This woman, her name is Fiona Barnett, and she has documented this. She's gone to all the authorities, and she's putting all this out there so that people, this is being exposed. The Jesuits are being exposed. Okay, so it says, I had a person tell me that the Jesuits are, what are you talking about? The Jesuits are an educational order. No, they're not. That's their front. That's how they trick you. And so this is what this woman says. She says, in fact, the Jesuits are Luciferians who practice ritual murder and child rape. An increasing number of Australian politicians who hold power are Jesuits. This is equal in the United States. It says, owing to his Jesuit training, Leonas Petrauskas assumed the role of head Luciferian priest within the Sutherland Shire Catholic Diocese. Roman Catholicism stems from Mithraism, the ancient Luciferian cult in which male priests were married to boy brides, and temple prostitutes bore children to the priests for ritual murder on key ritual dates. The Latin Mass is a whitewashed version of the high Luciferian Black Mass, in which a newborn baby is ritually murdered and its blood and flesh eaten. This is the ritual that occurred at Bathurst City Hall in 1985, presided over by the AHRC president. Most of my perpetrators, she says, were raised Catholic, and many associated with the Catholic colleges located at Sydney University, particularly Patricia Ann Conlon, who lived at Sancta Sophia College at Sydney University. So let me go back over what she just said. She said Roman Catholicism stems from Mithraism, the ancient Luciferian cult in which male priests were married to boy brides. That's why I was talking about earlier, altar boys. And that's why this is so important. This is being revealed today. The Catholic altar boys are these brides for the priests, because they still believe in Mithraism. They haven't changed. They just hide it. It's occult. The Catholic Church is an occult organization. And then she says, and temple prostitutes, which she has in parentheses, nuns. So the nuns bore children to the priest for ritual murder on key ritual dates, which brings us to today. If you go to Leo Zagami's website, he has an article, and he's talking about the Pope being in Ireland right now, and how there's many people who are upset still because in 2014, I want to say, is when they found the the graves of little babies. I forget. Okay, let's see. Okay, I've got everything all over the place. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it right now while I'm looking, although I had it on the right page. Anyway, he talks about how in Ireland they found that graveyard. I think it was in front of a Catholic school, or was it? Anyway, so that just brings it all together. Mithraism, ancient pagan religion, is the religion of the Catholic Church. They have pagan rituals that they still do. And then they found in 2014 that church where there was all these little children's bodies buried in this mass grave, and they had used those for ritual abuse. And so this woman who was ritually abused, she literally was in this place where she just mentioned, Bathurst in Australia. In 1985, she was still a teenager, and she gives witness to mass sexual rapings of children, and that they also killed a woman who was pregnant and used that baby for the ritual sacrifice. They ate that baby. So there's more to it. I'm not going to say it all here, but if you want to know, she actually has a statement that she puts on YouTube, and if you need to know where to find it, just let me know, and I'll let you know where that's at. So this is being uncovered. So you're seeing the shaking of the evil, that people are no longer going to be so that they can decide between whether they want to continue to believe in this this whole pedophile system, this whole pedophile system, okay, which she calls it, I think she put it here at the very beginning. She said, child trafficking is run as a single integrated world operation. So the Jesuits are Luciferians who have these rituals, and these people in the United States have all been abused by these, and they've been covering it up, and it's coming true fruition. And so why are we seeing in the news in the United States, why are we seeing so much hatred to Donald Trump and his policies? Because one of his policies, his executive order that he did in December 21, 2017, was to put out the fact that he's going to stop child trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking. And he's taking away the money, and he's going after them. And we've been seeing all these arrests, 400 in California. Now this is coming open. So their kingdom is coming down. What does the Bible say about what happens to the Catholic Church? Let's go to Revelation. It says, Revelation 17, it's right after the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but they give all their power to the beast. They have one mind. That's the come that says it's a single integrated world operation. We know that people went into Haiti, the Clintons went into Haiti, and there's all these reports on what they did while they were there. Okay, so 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is King of kings and Lord of lords. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitude and nations and tongue. The whore, the Catholic Church, sits on all these people. The Catholic Church has all these people, multitudes, nations, and tongues. 17:16 says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked. See, all this is coming to light. He's naked, getting uncovered. And they shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So the 10 kings that were giving her all the power, all of a sudden they go against her, and they burn her, and they make her naked, desolate, and they burn her with fire. And 18:9 says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, and they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment. They get far away from her because of she's being tormented and killed and burned. Eternal damnation. The Catholic Church. And it says, alas, alas, the great city, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. 1 hour in prophecy is a year. So the Catholic Church is coming down. And I want to ask you a question. Will Satan and his minions want to relinquish their hold on the earth? No, they're fighting with all their might right now. That's how come we're having people who are trying to reveal all this truth. Their channels are coming down when they get really popular, when they have a lot of people watching, and the people are being woken up to the things that are going on in politics and around the world, and all the evil that's happening. They shut them down. These big corporations, Apple, Google, Spotify, have all shut down Alex Jones and try to keep him from making money. You can't go to the places where you want to order stuff. You have to call the phone number. And so they're trying to shut down, they're trying to make them not be able to buy or sell. So there is a struggle going on for power. And all of these things have to come to light. So Proverbs 29, 1 and 2 says, he that being often reproved hardeneth his neck, shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So when it comes to the point when the righteous are in authority in this kingdom of Yasha, the people are going to rejoice. It says, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So right now, because the wicked are ruling, the people are mourning and sad and oppressed and being sexually abused. So this is what this message is for you today. I want to go to a couple of quotes because you have to know who Babylon is. And I'm going to get this quote. I have to find it because I didn't put it in my little thing. But it talks about the Catholic Church. You can go to timesandlaws.com and click on Roman Catholic Pagan Occult. Okay, occult is hidden from the eye or understanding, invisible, secret, unknown, undiscovered, undetected as the occult qualities of matter. The occult sciences are magic, necromancy. Okay, so right there, this is from Webster's Dictionary, 1828, because the new dictionaries don't have real definitions anymore. They've been taken over by the Catholics. Okay, so Matthew 7:15 says, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. See, when they are raping children, that's ravenous. They're taking it to the max. Okay? So one of the things the Catholic Church says, or what was written of the Catholic Church, is it's interesting to know how often our church, this is a Catholic person that wrote this, that our church has availed herself of practices which were in common use among pagans. Thus it is true in a certain sense that some Catholic rites and ceremonies are a reproduction of those of pagan creeds. This was written in the Externals of the Catholic Church, her government, ceremonies, festivals, sacramentals, and devotions by John F. Sullivan, page 156, published by P.J. Kennedy, New York, 1942. And this is another quote about their paganism. So it says, the penetration of the religion of Babylon became so general and well known that Rome was called the New Babylon. And we have a book called The Two Babylons, and it's talking about Babylonian practices and the Catholic practices are the same. And this is what this says. In order to attach to Christianity great attraction, when it says Christianity, it's talking about the Catholic Christianity. In order to attach to Christianity great attraction in the eyes of the nobility, The priests adopted the outer garments and adornments which were used in pagan cults. This was written in Life of Constantine. Eusebius cited in Altai Namala, page 94. It says, the church did everything it could do to stamp out such pagan rites. No, it didn't. But had to capitulate and allow the rites to continue with only the name of the local deity changed to some Christian saint's name. This is from Religious Tradition and Myth, Dr. Edwin Goodenough, professor of religion. Okay, so that's just some of them. Pope Leo X said, it has served us well, this myth of Christ. Okay? People don't understand that the Jesuits are a military order. This is what Memorial of the Captivity of Napoleon at St. Helena by General Montholon. It says, the Jesuits are a military organization, not a religious order. Their chief is a general of an army, not the mere father abbot of a monastery. And the aim of this organization is power. Power in its most despotic exercise. Absolute power, universal power, power to control the world by the volition of a single man. Who is that? The Pope. Jesuitism is the most absolute of despotisms, and at the same time, the greatest and the most enormous of abuses. What are the greatest abuses? Child abuse, rape, mind control. All these things are what these Jesuits do. Now let me go to another place. I will give you the link to this below because this is hard to find. These are quotes about the Jesuit order, okay? This is from John Adams. My history of the Jesuits is not eloquently written, but it is supported by unquestionable authorities and is very particular and very horrible. The Jesuits' orders restoration in 1814 by Pope Pius XII is indeed a step toward darkness, cruelty, despotism, and death. I do not like the appearance of the Jesuits. If ever there was a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth and in hell, it is the Society of Ignatius de Loyola. This was written by John Adams, the second president of the United States. Here's what was written by Samuel Morse. You know Morse code? He wrote this. The Jesuits are a secret society, a sort of Masonic order, with super added features of revolting odiousness and 1,000 times more dangerous. Samuel Morse, 1791 to 1872. Here's another quote. I do not like the reappearance of the Jesuits. Shall we not have regular swarms of them here in as many disguises as only a king of the gypsies can assume, dressed as printers, publishers, writers, and schoolmasters? If ever there was a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth and hell, it's the Society of Loyola. Nevertheless, we are compelled by our system of religious toleration to offer them an asylum. There's some more. There's one of Abraham Lincoln, but I think I've read that one here before. Pope Clement even said about the Jesuits, I knew they would poison me, but I did not expect to die in so slow and cruel a manner. I'm going to give you the link to this. But what I wanted to talk about is the kingdom of Yasha is coming to this earth. He's coming and he's going to separate the people. And the whole thing about coming into the kingdom is keeping his laws. Because for a kingdom you have to have four things. You need a king. You need a domain. You need people, which are your subjects. And you need a law. And we're not going to be using these man-made laws that put the Catholic Church in and evil men in power. It's going to be the law of Moses that the Catholic Church said was abolished. That the Catholic Church started the Inquisition because they said that the people wanted to believe in the law of Moses. You can read that on my website, timesandlaws.com. you can go to the Inquisition and you can read the Edict of 1492 where it tells you why they killed people. And it was because of their belief in the law of Moses. And now they have perpetrated the lie that the law of Moses was nailed to the cross. But this kingdom will be based and founded on Yah's word, the law of Moses. All the words that he told Moses, he said, write this in a book. He said, all these words are my words, write them down. So it was to be kept in the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, so let me read you, just to end, a couple of more things about people, what they said. It was something... Roman Catholic Bishop Palafox, from a letter of his in 1647, he says, all this property and all these considerable revenues which might make a sovereign powerful serve no other purpose than to maintain 10 Jesuit colleges. To this may be added the extraordinary skill with which they, the Jesuits, make use of and increase their superabundant wealth. The Jesuits are super abundantly wealthy, even though they maintain warehouses, cattle fairs, butcher stalls, and shops. They lend out their money for usury and thus cause the greatest loss and injury to others. But they profess to be so poor. Okay, let me see. This is talking about a lot of people, they blame other people, they blame the Jews, but this is what this quote is from. Author of the New Age Movement and Illuminati 666 says, why would the Jesuits use their implacable enemy, the Jews, to further their designs for world dominion? The Jesuits never do anything out in the open where they can be exposed. If they are recognized as the culprits, they will be blamed and suffer the consequences. But if they can use someone else as the cause of the world's problems, especially an enemy they can destroy in the process, then they have simultaneously accomplished two of their objectives. The Jewish people are the perfect scapegoat. Since the Rothschilds are Jesuit agents operating under a Jewish cover, using them in forming the Illuminati back in 1776, effectively throws the onus of this conspiracy on the Jews. The Rothschilds are certainly not the only Jesuit agents that operate under a Jesuit front. History books will tell us that the French Revolution first began in 1787 or 1789, depending on which book you read. However, it was actually planned by Jesuit Dr. Adam Weishaupt and the House of Rothschilds almost 20 years before the revolution took place. So I'll be giving you the link to these quotes, but I want to say they are coming to their end. It says that the Matthew 6, 9, and 10. What does it say? Let's go there really quick. But seek ye first the kingdom of Yah and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. And this, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. May Yah bless the reading of this word.